Yo guys, my name is Phoenix and welcome to a new video. And I'm finally back to my old place, which means that from now on I will be playing Shadowverse a lot more than I did last month. That being said, I really wanted to make a video as soon as possible, so instead of making my own deck, I just net decked one and tested it out. And it turns out this deck is almost perfect, so I didn't have to change anything. So this is the list. It's a neutral Havencraft deck. The cards you can see are 3 Unicorn Dancer Unica and 1 Sector. And this list comes from Team Mansurge website. I encourage you guys to check it out, and I will leave the link in the description below. So let's talk about cards. Of course, 3 goblins are your standard 1-drop, and most of the 2-drops are very standard for neutral decks. We have 3 Unicorn Dancer Unica, 3 Lyrial, 3 Feria. And then we have 1 Sector, which is pretty good with this deck, especially since you can play it in combo with a low-cost Lion that summons a Tin Soldier. Then we have Noble Fangs for the Lion, of course, Biscolaria always for the Lion. Gourmet Emperor Kai'Sa is very good in this deck. You run 2 of them because having always carrots in your hand makes discounting your Havencraft cards easier. Angel of the Ward is an overall very good 3-drop. Then we run 1 Uriel because it's nice to have an Amiral Search. Alice, of course, is just a star in every single neutral deck. 2 Goblin Princesses, and this card synergizes really well with both Eagleman and Golden Lion because it discounts them by 3. March Hare's Tea Time is one of the best Havencraft cards of this expansion, and it also summons a Tin Soldier, which is a neutral. Garuda is extremely good as a follow-up to March Hare's Tea Time, but it's also good with other cards you have in this deck, and the 3 damage reach is often enough to finish off an opponent. 2 Eaglemen, and turns out this card is really great. You often play a 4-5 ward for like 2 or even 0 sometimes, and that's just huge tempo. And then of course Lion of the Golden City. This card is just amazing, and the turns you can have with this card are pretty much insane. You will see it in the replays. And just 1 Gilgamesh because it's always nice to have the 5 damage reach, especially in an aggro deck. So let's not waste any time and start with some replays. The first game is against Dragoncraft. And Dragoncraft usually deal well with neutral decks because they have a lot of removal, but in this game you will just see how hard this deck can snowball when your opponent doesn't have an answer. So I like to keep my Alice in my opening hand, especially if I have a 2-drop. It's an extremely good play on turn 4, so I just want to have it. Of course I will play my Actress Feria because I don't have any other choice. And because Biscolaria is good with Lion, he just clears it, and I play my other one. At this point he doesn't remove it, he plays his Dragon Oracle, and I go with my Alice. So far it's pretty straightforward. This is not a hard deck to play. Of course, next turn I have a 2-drop and a 4-drop, which means that this gets discounted to 3 and I can play both. And of course I will play March Hare's Tea Time because I don't have enough space for the Tiger here. And when I evolve my Feria, this is pretty much game over. Like, I have a 23-25 body in total, and it just surrenders. Second game is against Shadowcraft, and this will show you how the deck plays from behind. I go second. Okay, here with the mulligan I should look for 2-drops, but I'm like, well, I'm going second, I have a perfect 3 and 4 and I have an Eagleman. I will just draw into a 2-drop. And turns out I was wrong, but this was a risky mulligan. If I managed to pull off a 2-drop, it would have been great. So I took my risk. Plays nothing. I don't draw any 2-drop. So he plays his own. And I'm forced to skip turn.
You gonna mess with me?
So at this point I prefer to play Gourmet Emperor because Angel of the World did nothing pretty much. And he clears it. But he doesn't have a very good turn, so I will play my Actress Feria and my Ultimate Carrot and evolve Feria to destroy the 2-2 and gain my board back. So with every card I'm playing, I'm discounting Eagleman and Lion of the Golden City, which means that I'm going to have a very good turn later on. Places Necro Assassin and destroys my Carrot and my other follower. But I can go for the full clear here, which is what I take. I play Angel of the World, deal 1 damage, I play Lyrial, deal 1 other damage, and suicide the Lyrial.
My wings are killing me. It's so quiet.
I'll live again.
Places Death Breath, which doesn't give his followers ward because he didn't have enough shadows. And here I can go for the extremely good turn. I will play Uriel to draw an amulet. I will play Carrot to discount these two to 0. See. But since I wanted to play everything, I play Lion first to use Beast Colaria, suicide my 2-1 to the 4-2, and then play Eagleman. Then I evolve Ultimate Carrot because I figured that if he had Iktar, he would have to suicide 2 zombies anyway on this one.
This head can't be taken.
Which he does. And he uses his order zombie to kill my tiger. At this point I have the full board control, so I prefer to not take any risk and just remove the Hector. It doesn't cost me too much to do so, so I don't mind. So he plays Immortal Fame and destroys it to get the White King for 0. But at this point it's already game over. I will just suicide my lion, go face and play Garuda.
These golden wings will end you.
You're too strong.
Next we're up against Swordcraft and I'm going first.
You must die.
My opening hand was bad here, so I just reroll everything. And get an almost decent one, but I don't have any to drop. I don't like playing amulets on turn. But it turns out I forced to, because I didn't want to waste a turn playing a goblin. And it's not all that bad to play this amulet on turn 2. So of course here I will play my Gourmet Emperor. He plays Rabbit Ear Attendant and suicide is Lyrial. And here I go for the maximum mana cost turn, which means the double 2-drop. Even if it's not great because you can just trade for free.
Lands of marvels. You're done
He
for.
plays Alice and evolves her.
I'm going to change the world. Hey, that's it.
So here, as you will see, Goblin Princess can discount Eagleman to 0, which means that this is the best turn. The other turn was Angel of the World to kill this, Goblin and Eagleman, but I didn't like that too much.
Today we battle.
So of course here I evolve the Goblin Princess to suicide it on Alice.
Hit him full force. Let's play again.
And I play Eagleman.
In the hour of crisis, a An eagle.
So this was a very good turn because I gained board control back.
I bloom on stage. No!
He has a pretty good turn himself,
Long now.
but
Like a
this will work out, especially since I have Angel of the Ward in my hand, and he has a 5-1. So my Baron pops, I draw into another Angel of the Ward, which means I can kill 2 followers. And I evolved the Baron here because this cannot be targeted from spells, which means that he cannot destroy it with a Whole Soul Swing or something like that. And he has to run one of his followers into the 7-2, which means that this will almost certainly kill anything he plays.
You wouldn't.
So he plays a Goblin and the Luminous Mage, which means he can evolve the Luminous Knight for free and kill my Baron,
Shining Paladin. Attack!
which was sad for me, but it's still okay. Now we'll take the trade for the Luminous Mage, because I can just refill the board with Goblin King, Ultimate Carrot and Goblin. And since I don't have to risk anything, I will just trade for the Goblin here. Board control is very important in a neutral versus neutral matchup.
Until tomorrow, I'll dance.
This is Cinderella and Alice.
Lands of marvels. You are done
And
for.
evolves Alice to kill my Goblin King.
I'm going to change the world.
At this point I can just start pushing for damage, which means I will trade my Goblin and play Gilgamesh and go face with everyone.
You wouldn't.
So I have 3 damage in my hand, just 4 damage need to survive here.
In the underworld.
Place Unicorn Dancer Unica and Albert. And turns out I don't have Lethal anymore. But thankfully I made him waste Albert instead of making him play on turn 9. So I suicide my 2-1 to fill my board again and buff it all with Alice.
Lands of marvels.
Go face, and at this point I think I pretty much won the game, because neutral Swordcraft don't run any AoE removal.
Come on, everyone. Hurry up.
And in fact I will just trade, play Garuda and go face.
These golden wings will end you.
An exemplary battle.
So this will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the neutral Havencraft deck. It's a very good one, and it's especially good for climbing since it's a fast deck and it's fairly easy to play. So if you haven't, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.